No problem.
Als der Rebbe singt, und als der Rebbe singt, singen alle Chassidim, singen alle Chassidim. Singen alle Chassidim, singen alle Chassidim. Und als der Rebbe tanzt, als der Rebbe tanzt, tanzen alle Chassidim, tanzen alle Chassidim. Tanzen alle Chassidim, tanzen alle Chassidim. Als der Rebbe schluft, als der Rebbe schluft, schlufen alle Chassidim, schlufen alle Chassidim. Ay, ay, di dai dai dai, ay, ay, di dai dai dai, schlufen alle Chassidim. Ay, di dai dai dai, ay, di dai dai dai, schlufen alle Chassidim. Als der Rebbe lacht, als der Rebbe lacht, lachen alle Chassidim, lachen alle Chassidim. Lachen alle Chassidim, lachen alle Chassidim. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, bam, bim, 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 bam, bim, 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 bam.
Whoa, that was fun. You know something? I was a little tired and I made myself a cup of espresso before the show. I didn't need it. All I had to do was watch that video.
She is an amazing, amazing vocalist. That was Leah Kalish. Leah Kalish. She is a modern day vocalist who takes old songs, like old Jewish songs, and she adds a modern twist.
Yeah.
And she brings back these positive, joyous, she shares that culture with the world in ways that are positive, inclusive. I just really love her. Leah Kalish, for those of you who want to check out her work.
It reminded me of a Broadway musical. oddly
Oh,
enough.
she's Broadway trained. Yeah.
Oh, she is. Okay, that's why.
She's trained for that kind of performance.
She very much had that presence.
There was
about
no
her.
inhibition with her. I mean,
Well,
she is in character. She is the rabbi. She is the,
yes, very much so.
you know.
And she also related beautifully to her audience. You know, that thing
Yeah.
Glenn Close once said, an actor has a molecular exchange with their audience. She was doing that.
Yeah, she's and her voice. I mean, just what a perfect vocalist. No, I mean, just amazing. Well, how was your week, my love? It just
How was
started, but
my
hopefully it's good.
How was my week? I have been busy. You've been busy. I've been doing readings. I've been doing artwork. I've been doing cat sitting. I've been working on my personal projects, but I'm happy. How about you, Whimsy?
I'm very happy, very busy as well, and very excited about our guest today. Have you heard
me
about our
too.
guest?
Well, yes. Yeah,
Whoops, I got
definitely.
backwards.
We met
So, yeah,
Danoot
why don't you
earlier.
go ahead and tell our audience a little bit about who's showing up today?
Well, the wonderful author Danoot, Debbney Shaw, just met her a few minutes ago in our little green room. She's a very impassioned woman, very focused, very dedicated to what she talks about in this book. And Whimsy and I both have loved it. We have a lot of questions. Whimsy, you said I was going to be the lead interview. I have a feeling you're going to be, because you've been talking about this for weeks. You've been so particularly impassioned about it.
Yeah, this is a book where, you know, we are all born with intuition. We are all born as children with that joy and that love of life.
Yeah.
And where we just know that you know, the world is a beautiful place, the giggle of a child.
Sure.
And then slowly we lose it. We
Yes.
lose our ability to see fairies and angels.
We sure do.
We lose our ability to hear our own voice. We know the truth of so much when we are younger, and then we forget it. We lose it. We get folded into all kinds of ways through our parents. Our parents will gaslight us sometimes because they love us. They'll say, you'll say, Daddy, you look sad. Oh, no, dear, I'm not sad. I'm just tired. You
And
look
then
at me. So it's all about, you know, going back and listening to your finding your voice again and respecting it. And you know, so often we don't listen to our inner voice, and we pay the price.
Yes, we do, all the time. And that little inner voice never lets us down. I've learned that through many years of experience, and I'm sure you have as well. We can always count on that, but look how many times we shut it out. Oh, that's just our overactive imagination, or that's too fanciful. No, I can't do that. No, it's often when I follow expectations and logic, that's when things often go wrong.
Well, it's like the salesman where, you know, I shouldn't do this. Come on, you can only win if you make this sale. And and you're doing it, but it's screaming your voice. Do not buy that car. Do not get that subscription. Right. Yeah. So I feel that it is this time, you know, you cannot have an awakened society unless you do this type of work. And it is shadow work. I'm not going to lie. A lot of this is, oh my God, when did I make these decisions that, you know, I'm not going to do this, or I hate that. It's often when we're 2-3 years old, you know, it can inform our entire life, decisions we made before and we can't even remember when we made those decisions.
Of course, there's that saying that we are completely programmed by the time we're 7 years old.
Yeah, but what she shows you how to do is to unravel that.
Yes.
And to meditate. And I chose that particular song partly because of, you know, she'll get into it. It's on page 210. A woman born in the end of the 19th century who lived through the Russian Revolution of 1917 and the First World War, and then Eastern Europe. You know, my grandmother. You know, she talks about the story of her grandmother. So I thought I would bring in a little bit of the, you know, music. But so hopefully she'll be able to talk about that. I know that that's one of the books that she's been writing about. But we not only carry our own trauma, but we carry the trauma of our ancestors.
Oh, definitely we do. I work with an energy healer who talks about that. Many times she will clear ancestral energy. Sometimes it can go back 10 generations or more, that we have that embedded in our DNA.
Yes, and your father is spanking you, or your mother is doing this, and she doesn't even consciously know she's doing it because she learned it from her mother, who learned it from her mother, or the
Hmm.
person whose great great grandfather or mother was a slave and learned
Yeah,
that you have to do this, and it made sense when you were a slave that you would be fearful and you would do things
sure.
this way, and now 5, 6 generations later, children are still learning to have these fears because they have inherited this stuff
Hmm.
from their ancestors who suffered generations before.
Yeah.
So her grandmother had an amazing life,
Oh,
and
yes. We talked a little about that before the
yeah,
show.
you can find out more about it if you bought the book on page 210. If you haven't gotten there, I don't want to spoil too much of it, but
No, we've got a lot to cram in that 30-minute interview.
well, I think it's probably going to go over, which is why I asked you to change the appointment for my client.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and turn the
Okay.
camera around.
Well, let's turn the
dive
camera around.
into
Yes.
here today. We got 154 brave hearts that have decided to join us so far.
Oh, so far. Okay. Well, of course, we have our wonderful Joel Tilson here.
Hi, Joel.
And hey, Joel. And thank you. And we have, let's see, Sheila Davidson. We have Rose Blue,
Hi, Rose.
4205. I love that name. Intuitive Kathy, our great
Hi,
friend.
Intuitive Kathy.
Terry Gallant, 3827. Let's see, Renee Ament, Z4H. Let's see, I hope I'm saying this correctly. Jorge Gro, is that correct? I hope I said your name right. Please forgive me. Oh, my dear friend Joyce Petrus is here, the
Hi, Joyce.
wonderful astrologer. Sabrina Fe. Let's see, is that correct? Sabrina Fe 7861. Oh my gosh, I hope I'm not mangling pronunciations here. I'm so sorry. Is that cousin me? Did I say that right?
I guess so. You're asking me.
I want to be respectful and I don't want to get names wrong. I'm so sorry. This is just falling to me here. Here's Jeff Smisky, and of course we have 2012 Cheetah, Nadine Ruby.
I'm seeing Colleen Rieger is here. Hi, Colleen.
Wendy Burt, who made your fabulous hat.
Yeah, we
at the
put it
opening
to
of the
good use.
shows. This one, oh boy, I'm getting challenged today. TFL 1947.
Oh my goodness. Well, I think we'll keep saying hi to people.
And you said hello to Colleen Rieger.
And of course, we want to give gratitude to our official floor director, Joel Tilson. He scans the news for us, what is hot topics, and let's just go right into it. The hot topic is that Washington, D.C. is being taken over, as many of you know, by the National Guard. You know, it's interesting that Trump has done this in DC. It's as if he has declared DC to be something like, where does the Pope live?
The Vatican.
It's Vatican like City. His personal is that what this is? Is this Trump's personal Vatican? I don't know.
Well, it's just.
What are you thinking, buddy?
I'm thinking of the Hitler playbook. Hitler and the Nazi Party repeatedly exaggerated or outright fabricated crime and unrest in order to justify taking over policing powers, centralizing control, and dismantling democratic safeguards. Hitler's regime weaponized false or exaggerated crime narratives to rally support for authoritarian measures, then used state police forces to suppress opposition and cement one-party rule. Does that sound familiar, Whimsy?
It sounds terrifying.
It does.
Oh my God, I'm so glad Danoot is here to get us. What do you feel about the fact that 23 have already been arrested? And why are they being arrested? Because they're exercising their right to demonstrate?
Well, I think Trump is claiming it's to clean up crime in Washington, D.C. and get homeless people off the streets. But I just saw a news bulletin that the National Guard is about to come into Washington. And it's fascinating to me because January 6th, during the insurrection, he claimed he didn't have the power to call the National Guard. So why does he now have this power?
Because of Hegseth?
I don't know.
Would Hegseth be the one, since he is our defense person? I'm
Possibly.
thinking.
I'm not sure.
And isn't that what's going on? I wanted, I had a dream, and I wanted, today's topic was nightmares. We have a weird topics every week. We don't always have time to get to it, but I thought I would start with, nightmares and precognition, where you have a dream, it's a nightmare, and it can be a forebodying of something.
Mhm.
And why do you think, or why do people in the audience think that these nightmares happen, and the symbolism of them and the precognition? Well, I think it's because we're vulnerable at night, and we're open. It's something that I want to talk to Danoot about also. We're open to parts of our brain that has wisdom that we may not be consciously aware of. And Carl Jung said we suppress it by trying to be civilized. The civilized Swiss man. He talked about Carl Jung, the civilized Swiss man who had to be a good Christian and had to wear a suit and not go to the bathroom on himself, but use a toilet and then wash his hands. So we learn to become the civilized woman, the civilized man, the civilized whatever. And we suppress all these other parts of ourselves, which creep up to the surface from the superconscious, the greater conscious, into the subconscious, often in the form of dreams.
I keep thinking of the inner unruly child that we keep suppressing, that wants to come out. Children are just brutally honest. They're honest with their emotions, their feelings, whatever it is. Maybe that's what we're holding within that needs to come out more.
Well, in the dream, I was in DC. I was in Washington, DC, and I was meeting with Donald Trump, and he was having a deep conversation with me.
He was having a deep conversation.
He was having a deep, intense, emotional dream with me. Whimsy, I've got to talk to you. Okay, so I'm sitting and I'm talking to Donald Trump in the dream. And Donnie says to me, he says, "Whimsy, you are my greatest love. You're my soulmate. You're the greatest love of all the loves I've ever had." And I felt that and in the dream, I felt like I was so special. I was so special because he needs me. He needs me to protect him. And I am special. I am the chosen one because he has picked me. And I was thinking about a couple things happened in the dream. We started to walk from the hotel. He was taking me from the White House to dinner. And I noticed that we're walking down the street and there's no security. So that was the first thing I noticed. And I thought, where is his security team? We got to get some security out here. This guy can't just be walking alone. So that told me something is going on with his security. Eventually the security showed up and they were trailing us as we were walking. I saw like police and stuff like going behind us to make sure everything was okay. But it left me with a feeling like his security is becoming a problem again. This is the first thing I got from the dream. So then we go to a restaurant. We have a very romantic dinner. And I'm being completely gaslit. And I took away from that experience that this is precisely how Donald Trump is controlling the masses. He is able, because he has that psychopathic, narcissistic love bombing down pat. These people are all love bombed.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's how con men operate.
Yeah,
They're
he's
some of the most charming people in the world.
So I felt, as a MAGA person, I guess I was the MAGA person in the dream, I felt like I have to protect him, just like they were willing to die for Hitler, right? They had to protect him. He was in the bunker and they were going to hold on to Berlin, right, until the very end, protecting their Führer. And this is a guy who is holed up, not in Berlin, but in DC.
Yeah.
And they're going to protect their Führer because he is making them feel special. that they are the most beloved, they are the chosen. And so by being associated with this guy, they now have a sense of self. That, that is how fascism works. I'm part of a group now. I'm one of the chosen ones. I'm important. It's a very dangerous place to be. And then later on in the dream, I went to check and see how he was doing. And he was lying in his bed. And he was completely naked.
Ooh.
So the emperor had no clothes.
Yeah.
He was lying.
Well, also, he was at his most vulnerable.
Right. So
he's
lying there naked in the bed, looking up. And I felt like I was seeing my father naked. It was a weird feeling. Yeah. But the other thing was that I saw what he really looks like with no makeup.
Yeah.
And he is as white as Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien says you get a glare from looking at his ass.
Well, well, you see that with his makeup and it's not blended.
Yeah, he was this pasty white guy, obese, lying flat on his back, naked on his bed. And that is how the dream ends. And I think that it's the end for Trump. I think that that this is such crazy behavior for him to, as if he anticipates they're coming for him and he's going to protect DC. It's like his little, Vatican.
Well, that's an interesting theory. I had never thought of it that way. I was thinking more towards how he acted toward here in Los Angeles when he was sending the National Guard here, and Mayor Bass and Gavin Newsom were also just, please don't do this. We don't need this. We don't want this. But they were saying, oh, Los Angeles is consumed with crime and we're going to save the city of LA and all this nonsense. And now I hear him saying that about Washington, D.C. It's like he's trying to take over one city at a time as part of his quest to become a dictator.
Well, I think he knows what's coming, which is that there are protests all over the country.
Yes,
and
sir.
we are going to march on D.C.
Yeah.
Just like last time when he had to go hide in the bunker, I was down there 2.5 times just to check things out. Remember?
Good Trump impression, by the way. Yeah. I read that he's got 30 days of control, authoritarian control over DC, and then he can request to extend that even further. Now, what you make is a very interesting theory. I was thinking of it more like Los Angeles, and it might be even a little bit of both.
When he says, he's going to take them all and put them in the psych hospital, the homeless people, it's like, well, wait a minute. That's not all bad. Us liberals want more housing for people with chronic mental illness. We've been requesting that. The issue was to force anybody different into forced institutionalization. Well, but we didn't mean to slash funding for mental illness.
Well,
or housing for the mentally ill. Don't gaslight us. We know what we meant.
You know what the great irony is? Many of those people out on the streets were released from mental institutions to begin with.
By Reagan.
Yes, I was just about to say that. Back in the 60s, that's where a lot of our homeless problems originated here in Los Angeles.
No, we wanted more rights for the mentally ill.
Yeah.
That parents could not be, locking up often rebellious females who, a lot of the time it was girls that didn't want to follow the rules. That the homeless had certain rights. We didn't mean shut the places down and let the mentally ill die in the streets. So this is part of the gaslighting that is part of these horrible people.
Yeah. But that dream is fascinating. Have you ever told that dream before on any of your?
I had it last night.
Oh, I didn't see last night's show. I'm so sorry, but
I wasn't.
You had the dream last night.
I was unconscious. I wasn't doing a show.
I thought you meant you did a show last night.
I went to sleep last night, and I had, it's like Laura Loomer. She is a true believer, and she's his Ava Braun. She's going to go down with the ship. It's like, I gotta save my Führer.
Yeah.
And it's because he makes her feel special.
Well, it just fascinates me because what I got from your dream, the nakedness, his extreme vulnerability, to me, that's what is symbolized by the dream. You saw how pale white he is. He's bloated. He's sick. naked, very vulnerable,
Like
very
it's
frightened. Oh dear. Yeah,
completely open and exposed,
just basically a
naked,
very
flat on his
tired,
back.
a tired, sick old man. He tries so hard to put up the front, puts
But
all
it
that
just made me
makeup
feel
on.
sorry for him.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I another hit I got was because of your heart-centered remote viewing. You've always approached Donald Trump with empathy, and I have a feeling not too many people do that with Donald Trump. And maybe something in his soul was reaching out to you in that dream, like you understand me better than most people do. You get me.
Yeah, and I think that they partly believe their own BS.
Yeah.
I have no doubt he did the same thing to Melania. You're my only true love. Ivana was terrible. I'm sure every person he ever dated, this is the power of being a narcissist, of selling the dream. Make the other person feel that they are your world. The sun rises and sets on their face, and this ability to make you feel like we get each other. You're so special to me. And it was really an amazing dream because it let me see what it was to be special in his eyes and what I'm willing to do because I've been validated and now I'm somebody. I was nothing before, but now I'm somebody. I'm his soulmate. Right? It's a really
Yeah. God, when you said that about finding him naked, I was remember that I told you I had a friend who was almost raped by Harvey Weinstein, and that's what happened. She went up to his hotel room to audition. That was the guys, and he excused himself and came out of the bathroom naked, and she just by some miracle got away from him and ran down the hallway and got away from him. But I was thinking of that even with Trump, the fact that he presented himself naked to you.
Yeah.
Well,
I think I walked in and he was sleeping.
Oh, he was sleeping.
In his bed naked.
Okay.
And it was like seeing your dad, that creepy feeling when your dad is like waking up early and you're like, Dad, your ball sack's hanging out, like that. Whenever you've accidentally seen a parent naked, it's like, come on, Pa, come on, man. So it had. We've all had traumatic memories, right?
Yeah. That would scar me
the paper
for many years.
or whatever the hell it was, But the point is that it was an interesting insight. I think we should do the empath's prayer and blitzes. What do you say, Chuck?
I would say so, because we
got a ton of questions,
and we got a ton of questions. Why don't we blitz away?
Let's
do the empath's prayer.
Yeah. And if anybody would like to receive a healing at this time, I know the group would love to send you a healing for either you or for those you love. Please give them give us their names, and we will include them in the empath's prayer. I gotta light these puppies. I'm supposed to light them when we're listening to the music, but I was swinging with the rabbi.
Swinging with the rabbi.
That's the rabbi.
By the way, here's our wonderful merchandise. My wonderful whimsy mug here only has water in it.
And I got my shirt on. I don't know if you can see it. The great shirts. She did
light those candles and start the party.
Oh, I don't know if people can see it when I wear it. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we got to bring in some new vibration. Didn't you just love that song? It just made
it was wonderful.
Dance.
Just high energy. You're right.
Yeah.
Like a great Broadway musical. And so I can see the connection.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's bring in the empath's prayer and pray for those who need a healing. Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay. I want to call a white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decision for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively, we say, Amen.
Amen.
And for those people today who are requesting a healing, we come together and we pray. We pray that you receive a perfect healing in mind, body, and in spirit. And together again, we say, Amen, Amen, Amen. May all souls be healed. Oh, I'm getting a ton of.
Is that you?
I'm getting messages from clients and
Are
stuff. It's okay.
Are angels getting their wings? Bells ringing?
I hope so.
I hope so too.
So the first question, do you think it's going to lead to martial law across America?
Well, that's why I was concerned initially. That's why I read that little statement about Hitler and also what happened here in Los Angeles. So let me see here. Cards. Across the nation, marital law. Okay, I wasn't sure about the cards, but I finally got a card that said deprivation out of all these cards. I don't know if I even need to show the other ones. I'm getting like time, as we have said, time is running out for Donald Trump. He would probably like to do this. I don't think he's going to get to. I think he's being deprived of it. I also got a no when I asked the pendulum. I got other cards like about, like community, how this is obviously involving all of this, decisions, business, but I'm also getting like new life, like we're going to rise above this.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, new life. And so what did you have, Lindsay?
I mean, that's really interesting. You have the law coming in, Queen of Swords. So he's going to have pushback. The other thing is the patience of the masses. So what he's trying to do is prevent protests from happening in DC.
Yeah.
He's worried about the economy. The economy is tanking, and the final outcome is he will be taken out.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting. Like,
which is what did you get? Because
I got the card deprivation, meaning he's not going to get to do this, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he's just not going to be around long enough for this to happen. As you said, he's going to be taken out, but I just don't think he's going to be allowed. He's being deprived of this. And I also got that new beginnings card, like we're going to move out of this. We're going to rise above this. And a lot of it has to do with the community and people just saying, hell no. No, you're not going to take our democracy away from us. We're not going to let you.
Who supports him now? I mean, he's lost his biggest supporters. Who's left?
It's rapidly dissipating. And I think we're seeing people already throwing him under the bus. They're looking at him as an obsolete old man of no further use. I mean, he's certainly giving the appearance that he's powerful, as any great con man will do. But I think a lot of that's his own self-delusion. I think many around him in his circle know the truth. Well,
I mean, everybody's left. He doesn't have the press anymore. He doesn't have the right-wing press anymore behind him.
Yeah.
He doesn't have Twitter anymore. So that's a big shoot, in the foot. He's lost the major Rupert Murdoch and Elon are gone.
Oh yeah.
But he's lost Putin too.
Yes. Those are good points you make. Rupert Murdoch, remember I said that about the grocery store tabloids. He owns the National Enquirer. First administration, it was like he was Jesus Christ walking on water. He's lost him. Musk owns Twitter. X, we should say. You know, that was an enormous platform for
Well, the
him.
Daily Mail is now blowing up with Epstein Trump stuff, and you know the Daily Mail is not going to be on. Who owns the Daily Mail? Is that
I'm
also
not
Rupert
sure.
Murdoch? Is that Rupert Murdoch? Who is that?
He has such a media empire, it's not impossible, but I can't say that for fact.
Wow.
I could look it up if you want me to.
Oh, that's okay. Somebody else
Okay.
will look it up. What's going on here?
Is Washington, D.C. the beginning of martial law across America?
We already got to that
Yeah,
one.
we already did that one.
Apologies.
Yes.
This is
Sorry. Okay. What's
Sorry.
the next question?
Here.
Oh, is Trump eliminating the monthly jobs and inflation reports? I read something today that they're going to, the new person who's being appointed to take the place of the person who just got fired. What was the department? I forget the official name. The person, the one who was the messenger of bad news about the job reports. I read today that they were going to be maybe taking 30 days or so, or evaluating before they announce anything about jobs and inflation, anything to cover up the truth.
Oh, the Federal Reserve, the chief Federal Reserve guy.
Yeah.
I know he's in the middle of this, but
Yeah.
jobs report. And he's trying to fire Powell. He's trying to fire Powell.
Saw that. And Extreme Brands just said Murdoch does own Daily Mail.
Yeah, so there you go. That says a lot. I got defending his territory.
Yeah.
I got the hidden truth will be revealed. Back and forth with the finances, and we're going to be okay within 6 months. I think that a lot of these problems are trade related. I think we're all paying the price for the tariffs and the trade wars.
Sure. It all comes down to money. These tariffs, trade routes, so forth. You know, the same thing with Putin. Isn't that what's bringing Putin down? The trade routes?
Yes, I think that's what's bringing everybody down. You know?
Yeah. But I mean, I take encouragement that you feel 6 months this is going to get better, because, you know, I was watching a little thing with Rachel Maddow today, and it was just so gloomy, the way she was describing things the way they are at this current time.
I see us becoming Sweden. I think that we are going to pull back, and I really believe that we are going to get it together. We have no choice, just like Sweden had no choice. You can't be a Viking forever.
Yeah, because Rachel Maddow was basically making it sound like we are just irrevocably broken right now. It's going to take like generations to fix this. So that's fabulous that you're getting.
Well, we start from the beginning. We have to start. The good news is when everything falls apart and you've got an empty closet, then you can start putting things in you actually believe in. So maybe everything did have to fall apart in order for us to rebuild.
Like Shiva the Destroyer.
Yeah, because who wants to go back to what it used to be, paying $500 a month for insurance when you're when you're covered, and you still have to pay when you see the doctor? So the system wasn't working before Donald Trump. So maybe everything does need to collapse.
Yeah. Well,
so we can build something else.
It's like we have no choice. We have to keep moving onward.
Well, we've let ourselves. I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
No. Please, what you were saying.
I was just saying we've been taken over by the pharmaceutical industries and these insurance companies, and everybody wants a piece of us. And it's not a sustainable way to run a country.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
it's not. It's like you said, one of your shows recently, Trump is just a symptom of many things that have been going on for years and years and years. It just came to a head with him, and he's just a mirror being held back to reflect all these people, all these circumstances. Yeah. But anyway, Joel said, is there an effort to arrest Trump and cabinet? My first question would be, from whom?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there are people who would love to do that, but how would it actually happen? How would it actually take place?
I think his cabinet is taking the health reports seriously.
Yeah. Well, remember I said, I think it was the last show or the last two shows, I've said I've had this intuitive hit that one of the things that's going to take down Trump is it's going to be internal. It's going to be one of his own people. It's going to be in his White House circle. That's what's going to ultimately bring him down. So it's interesting you said that about his cabinet taking the health reports seriously.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
has the 10 of swords as his outcome, which is that he's going to be betrayed.
That
And
makes
that's
total
interesting to
sense.
me.
Yeah. I'm just getting a strong sense it's going to be an internal job.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
haven't we said that about Putin also?
Yeah, I mean, they're actively. There's been multiple attempts on his life. I mean, the fact that I did a remote that they had broken into his private palace in Siberia, which is where he summers. He summers in his palace in Siberia, and he's got his own honor guard, which are the children of his most loyal people. It's their children that get to be part of the honor guard, and the fact that he had a break-in, which is that where somebody tried to kill him, it means that somebody in the honor guard was helping. So if that isn't a wake-up call for Putin, I don't know what is.
But I'm feeling something similar for Trump. And
Yeah.
initially, and I know we're never supposed to predict anything like this, and I'm not doing that, but at first I thought, could it even be someone internal who would try to assassinate Trump? But the more I looked into it, no, I think it's just going to be a plain old, like, figurative stab in the back type of thing. Yeah. At two, Brutus,
Yeah.
Joel Tilson, reports of aggressive Chinese Navy activities around the Pacific. Is this saber rattling or something else?
What are you thinking?
You
You want to pick one card? Just one?
One card? Just one?
Yeah, just one.
Sure. Okay, I just go for what comes out of the deck. I got bravado, meaning like maybe this is just a big show. Like, look how powerful and mighty I am, that kind of thing. Bravado. That's what the card that came out, that's what I'm getting from that. But what do you feel, Whimsy?
I'm getting desperation.
Desperation.
They cut the trade. We were punishing. China got in trouble for a lot of things. They got sued all over the world because of COVID, and their public health crisis became an international public health crisis. The fact that they were spying and that there were Chinese spies trying to steal our technology. So we punished them by taking our business elsewhere. And those two things, getting fired from their contracts from the federal government. Well, you're going to bring in spies, you're fired, boom, and then going to Taiwan and going to their competitors, along with what happened with COVID. When you have as large an operation as China has, I mean, where you've got 1 billion people, over 1 billion people, 1.7, but now they say it's only 1.2. There's different discussions about the number, but the point is it's a lot of people, and they're trying to build new trade routes in Africa, etc. This is a huge. They need a lot of money, and I think that the Chinese assumed that the money was going to keep. They were going to keep riding the gravy train of selling their crappy stuff to the entire world to fuel these new trade routes. And so they couldn't maintain it. It reminds me of the fall of Rome. If anything reminds me of the fall of Rome, it's China, which extended just like the Romans trying to take over the Holy Land and Egypt,
the Roman Empire,
and Greece and everywhere else. And it was not, they simply had tried to extend too far, and it was ultimately what led to the collapse. They had made too many enemies, and that's what we see happening with the collapse of China. So what happens here is that it's economic concerns back. It goes back and forth. Look at that rocky water over their money. They're in serious debt, and that's with those rocky trade routes. And you reneged on your contracts, kind of a feeling. And we won't, if you continue to buy stuff from us, if we can get a new trade deal, then we won't. So that's what I feel.
Yeah. Well, when I was getting that about bravado, and you said insecurity, I thought, well, often that's how insecure people behave. They put up a front, a facade. And I just was getting this feeling like this was all for show, but there was nothing underneath it. And I think that's what you were getting with the insecurity.
Well, I think it's a desire to renegotiate trade.
Yeah.
That's
why I feel they have to put up a front.
Bring back those American dollars. Yeah.
Look how high and mighty we are, how we still are. Joel asks, what is the big event coming for Trump this week? Peace talks with Putin or health event?
Well, I wonder about, like, it's just so sick that they're doing this in Alaska. Uh, and he accidentally said we're meeting in Russia. Did he accidentally say that, or is he trying to prepare us?
Or was that a Freudian slip?
Well, we're not there anyway. We might as well give the oil that's part of northern Alaska, northeast. Why can't we just give it to the Russians?
Well, doesn't Russia still consider Alaska to be theirs?
Well, they love the slip up by Trump. Or what?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering if that was a little Freudian slip there.
Can he give away states? I mean, like, what the hell?
In his deranged state of mind, I think anything is possible in that brain. Maybe he does think he can give away states. What? He thought he was going to take over Greenland and Canada, and what else did he say he was going to take over?
Oh my God! What a wingnut!
Yes. Many are feeling that his dementia is becoming more and more apparent. Mary Trump has talked about that.
Confabulation. Is that how you say it? Confabulation.
Is that the correct way of saying it? I'm not sure.
Maybe I'm getting, I don't know. I'm increasing my fish oil. I'm increasing my fish oil for my own brain health. But to confabulate, one
good word.
I've seen a lot of people get divorces because they say their husband was always a problem, but lately he's gone really crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And it dawns on me that for many of my clients, they're divorcing their husbands because their husband is showing signs of dementia.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
I had one client who divorced her husband. He began to accuse her of all kinds of crazy things. And as I'm listening to this story, I'm thinking to myself, this sounds like preorbital dementia, like something is going on there.
Well,
also being aggressive or violent.
Yes.
Affecting the frontotemporal, that area gets affected. People, I don't know.
We were talking about Prince William.
Oh, yes. When he had a head injury.
When he had the head injury, the frontal lobe.
Yes, the left temporal, which is the worst possible place to have a head injury and vulnerable because the skull is so thin there.
It is very soft in this area. But yeah, the personality disorders, as we're seeing in Trump, we're seeing it get worse and worse. And we're also just seeing him making increasingly bizarre statements in his press conferences. What is this? Things like, I solve a war a week. Things like that. The economy is better than it's ever been. My numbers are up. He's just in his own little fantasy world.
What's scary is a lot of people believe him.
Well, yes. His supporters.
They're senile people.
I don't know.
They can all sit around being senile with dementia. He makes complete sense to me. Let's have another drink. I mean, who knows who's listening to him? But what do we got here?
I think it's less and less, but we're still in the same question here, aren't we? What is the big event coming for Trump this week? Peace talks with Putin or health event?
You want to pick
up? Well, I think they're going to want to play up the peace talks with Putin, make that the real event. But is it really?
How do you see that playing out?
Well, what I got the last show, remember I said I'm seeing it being more for show than substance. And even today there was an announcement, well, this is just going to be this is going to be a quote unquote listening exercise. Like they're already downplaying it. Like, don't expect any peace deals or anything like that. They're just going to get together and listen. I think Caroline Levitt said, well, it's so much better than them talking on the telephone. They're going to be face to face. And that's kind of what I was feeling last week. This is just a big show. Nothing more, nothing less than that.
Well, I'm thinking that he's imitating Hillary Clinton because that's what she would do, travel the country and listen. And so now it sounds like he's quoting Hillary Clinton.
It's ironic, except the difference is
we're going to be listening.
Hillary Clinton actually listened.
Yeah, she was known for that, right? And
Yes,
that's what people said, that she was an amazing listener.
of course.
But a new beginning, and he wants to use Alaska and get through without being blocked by the United States to get his trade out. So from Russia to Alaska to China, just let me go through. It's regarding issues of the rocky waters with the trade and wanting power. And basically, he wants a new trade route. And so in exchange for the new trade route, maybe we can negotiate something in Ukraine. It's about opening up a new trade route and let me in. And this is why NATO is saying, yes, we do need to watch Greenland, because this guy wants a new trade route and he's cutting in. It's a security risk for North America.
Yeah. And of course, there is going to be a meeting later this week. It's going to be a virtual meeting, I think, with Zelensky. And I don't know, are Putin and Trump going to be involved in that also? Or is it just Trump and Zelensky?
I don't think that Putin's going to be there. I can't imagine that.
Yeah, because of it being virtual, I didn't know, but that would make sense. But Trump is already saying things like, well, the Ukraine is going to have to give up some of their land to Russia if there's going to be a peace deal.
That's like saying you're going to have to marry your rapist. It's like,
that's a good way of putting it.
Oh my God. What do we got here?
Who is blocking the ceasefire in Gaza?
I think that there is only one place for Hamas to go, and that is that they have to leave and their supporters have to leave. And it's been calculated that 380,000 people are supporters. So they can't stay, because the people of Gaza, if they're going to have their local tribal leaders controlling Gaza, if that's the goal, and that appears to be the goal, then Hamas cannot stay, because Hamas is a foreign government that's backed by Qatar and Iran. So they can't stay. They have to go, and Islamic Jihad has to go, because they are not representative of the people of Gaza. They're representative of foreign governments that want to destroy the state of Israel, that want to invade and rape and kill and plumage and pillage, and so they can't stay. So there is no deal to be made with Hamas. The only deal to be made is hand over the hostages, the children that are in captivity still, the women, the men that are, who are suffering, and get out, and we will let you live. That's the only deal. So the fact, we'll give you 5 of your victims, we'll give you, it's not going to work. And the people of Gaza don't want them to stay. They want to build their own government. So it's a 5. Anytime you take over any country, whether it's Germany after World War II or Japan after World War II, there is an interim period where you have to stabilize, you have to secure the area. And it's not going to be just Israel. I think there's a lot of disinformation out there. Israel is going into Gaza because this nightmare is over. It needs to come to an end. The longer it goes on, the longer we can't get food and medicine to the people. They're terrorists and they have to go. But this idea that it's going to be under Israeli control, it's not going to be under Israeli control. It will have to be under Western security. They will never be free of Western security, because if you don't have Western security, hostile forces can come in. That means that the waters have to be looked at by Israel, United Arab Emirates, and the United States. But that doesn't mean the people aren't free. It doesn't mean that Japan isn't free. We have bases in Japan where we're protecting them from the Chinese, and they're very happy we're there, except as tourists. They don't want Logan Paul there. So it looks like it's going to be like a 5-year period. But if you look at the map, the only area that Israel is really interested in is no man's land. And no man's land is being used by nobody. Nobody's in no man's land, because the purpose of the no man's land was to protect Israel from Hamas. So if the terrorists are gone, that gives them an extra stretch of 2 miles of land that they can share with the Israelis. This is the Israeli side, this is the Gazan side, and all this can be built into heaven on earth. And so that's all they're interested in, is this outer perimeter. But this inner perimeter belongs to the people of Gaza. And this area here belongs to the people of Gaza. And this Oasis Sinai is going to be gifted by Egypt, probably, which is 450 square miles. But again, they can't give it to the people of Gaza until the fruitcakes are gone. So the fruitcakes have to leave. And I wish that people understood what was really going on, because there's a lot of disinformation. So no, Israel left in 2005 because we didn't want to deal with all that crazy stuff. And we have no interest in taking it back and continuing to bury our sons and daughters in terrorist attacks. But this perimeter will be built, and this perimeter not only expands the space for the people of Gaza, but it also creates a beautiful two-state solution with a friendly border between Israel and Gaza. That's part of a new Zionism. The new Zionism is emerging, which is about inclusion and helping the Palestinians have a great life. And that is really Zionism 2.0. No more of this fighting and crazy, but it can't happen as long as Hamas is in Gaza. Yeah. So that's what I believe is going on there. So do I think that Netanyahu needs to leave? Yes. Netanyahu is a problem for a number of reasons. He helped build up Hamas. His security was crap, which led to the invasion. So he can't stay either. A whole new group of people on the Israeli side, and we need people that want peace and to build a beautiful nation for Gaza, for the people of Gaza, and give them what their children deserve. And that's what I think is going to happen.
Is the Putin-Trump peace talks a waste of time? In my opinion, probably yes.
Yeah.
But I don't even know if we need to read on that. I
think we've already.
It's going to be more for show.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more for show. But when you look at the remote, like the vision I had when I went into those cars, the bottom line is that what Putin wants is he wants to get his trade out, and maybe he's saying, hey, open up trade and open up my people going into the Bering Strait, and then I'll pull back from Ukraine. And maybe that is the deal we make. In which case, that's a big deal.
Has it even been announced what part of Alaska they're meeting, or are they keeping that top secret?
If it's Putin's choice, it will be Sitka. Because they built Sitka and they believe that they have a right to take it back. That Catherine the Great made a terrible mistake and it's our land, and I agree 100% with Joel. Iran is irresponsible, but at the same time, Netanyahu took money from Qatar. He's under investigation. Look, nobody in Israel likes Putin, likes Netanyahu, because he created this mess. He is a mess. And we wouldn't be in this situation if it weren't for Netanyahu. So he does, and he does not. I'm an Israeli, and I can promise you that guy does not represent. He's destroyed our country. That's how I feel about it. I feel he's destroyed Israel. We were moving. We used to be a leftist country. We used to be a democratic socialist country. Now you got to pay for health insurance. When the hell? He has destroyed our country. All this right-wing crazy stuff. I'm a lefty. And it used to be a leftist country.
Yeah. And all your visits to Israel, do you find that to be the general consensus?
Oh, we hate nobody likes them. He's got maybe 17% support. The Haredi are holding us hostage. People that think the earth is 6,000 years old and that the Messiah is going to come and stay. I mean, like get these people to a psych hospital. We need to be a real country. And so that's why I support Benny Gantz and the unity government. We want unity, we want peace, and we want to start getting trade and peace and harmony. And he's also destroyed our reputation abroad. People now think everybody's as bad as he is, and he does not represent most Israelis. It's a nightmare. If you're an Israeli, it's just devastating to see what he's done to our country.
It just sounds like so many parallels with Trump.
Yes.
So many things
They're
you just
friends.
said
They're
to be
friends.
said about Trump in America right
Yeah,
now.
and I think it's important that people in the West realize, don't blame us. We didn't vote for this guy.
Yeah.
Well, did you have a fun today?
Oh, I did. And I tell you, every time we do these shows, I always spend the day immersing myself in the news, and it's always a horror story.
And
almost
it's
every
never
day.
enough time. Have you know?
No, it's
people are
never enough
saying-
time.
People are saying I interrupt a lot, and it's like it's
Or
because
do I interrupt you?
we've got so much to get through, and it's not that I want to interrupt you, but it's like
Yeah.
I know what our itinerary is, and unfortunately
We have a lot to cover. We could easily talk for 2 or 3 hours, I think.
and it's
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah.
All right. So for those of you who have been excitingly waiting for this part of the show, I got to say I am absolutely excited, Chuck.
Yeah.
We have in our studios an amazing author, Danoot Debbney Shaw. Danoot Debbney Shaw. Hopefully, I hope you all got copies, those of you who are members of Chuck and Whimsy's Book of the Month Club. And we got another book today we're going to be announcing, so that's exciting as well.
Mhm.
But this is a book that I laughed when I saw the cover. And of course, my favorite movie of all time is The Wizard of Oz.
Me too.
And then I started reading through it, and then I started laughing, and then saying, "Oh, I do that. Oh, I do that." And then I started remembering things and the power of meditation and self-reflection. And I started thinking about Carl Jung, and I started thinking about everything. And I thought, we need to do this, have this book, and we need to interview her.
Yes.
And
she is fascinating. We just did a pre-show, beforehand, and she is so impassioned. I'm looking forward to having her on here.
So without further ado, would everyone please give a warm welcome to the amazing Danoot Debbney Shaw. Welcome in our studios.
Thank you so much. I'm so delighted to be here.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to have you. I guess right off the bat, in the pre-show, we were talking about how impassioned you are and how you feel you're in your purpose with this book. And I right off the bat, I admire you so much for saying that. Those are my favorite people in the world. But I think most of the people want to know right off the top what inspired the title, how the Tin Man found his brain. How does it resonate with the broader journey of self-awareness and decision-making?
Well, what importantly, all of the characters in Wizard of Oz already had everything they were looking for.
I like that part of your book.
And that is really the crux of it for me. The book for me is an exercise, a meditation, a provocation, if you will, a call for people to explore. And this is why I say in the beginning, in the preface, that I'm not here to have everybody agree with me or think this is what they need to undertake, but to really take a look at this, that inner power that we all have, and no one can take that from us. We talked a little bit about my background, and that's part of kind of why I came to all of this, because I came from a family that had gone through enough adversity. I mean, everybody's got something. Everybody. Some people have worse horrors, less horrors. That it could be drugs, it could be money, it could be health, it could be relationships that are abusive, it could be all sorts of things. I just happen to come from a family of two people who came from labor camps. One of them because of political activity. My mom's father was involved in the underground. He was trying to rescue people. Somebody ratted him out. He got arrested and killed in the Katyn Forest massacre. My mother and grandmother ended up in Siberia, and through my grandmother's efforts, made it out of there. Less than 10% of the group, more, the numbers vary, of course, less than 10% got out. And they ended up in a holding camp, and there's a lot of story all around that. It'll be in my next book. But what I want to say about this is that it was a great resource for me in terms of understanding resilience, in terms of understanding self-trust, in terms of what it can take to draw upon all of that within ourselves and get us through all sorts of things. We've seen other examples of this in other stories and other books, but this is part of what my core family scenario was about and what it taught me. And on top of all of that, I spent over 30 years working in management, organization, and law. I saw how lives fell apart. I saw how they got put back together or didn't. I had a lot of that kind of an experience. So marrying these two and also having a lot of encouragement from my family to work with my subjective awareness, because they certainly did. I was not blocked. It was really a strong impetus to try to share some of these ideas, some of these experiences. I share other people's experiences in the book, and it's all to enrich this effort.
That's fabulous. Well, just like, your analogy of the Wizard of Oz, it was, you had the power all along.
Absolutely. Yes.
All along. I even love something you brought up I'd never thought about before. When the Tin Man would express emotion, he turned to rust.
Yes.
I never thought of that before.
Yes.
And
go ahead, please.
I was just going to say how everyone already had what they were seeking.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
My next book on the Cowardly Lion will be all about risk-taking and courage and what's involved there. We have to make all sorts of courageous decisions in our lives, left, right, and center. We don't give ourselves enough credit for the capability we have and for the resilience that comes from that. And my last book will be about the Scarecrow, who, of course, needed validation. He didn't think he had a brain until they gave him a diploma. And isn't that so true? Even literally, some people don't think they've arrived till they've gotten that diploma, because they couldn't possibly be good enough or could be, considered this and that and the other until they have that diploma. So it'll be, and that all of these.
The letters after their name.
The letters after the name, exactly. Yes.
Why did you not give him a heart, since it was a heart in the original story? Why did you choose the brain instead of the heart?
Because it's the heart-brain connection, the integration that we all seek and once again can find within ourselves. In fact, there is a lot of research being done now about the heart having independent capability to the brain in terms of certain kinds of decision making and response. And so that's what I was really thinking. And of course, the Tin Man was a very bright guy. He should have known he had a heart going. No, they needed to give him a little ticking clock to make him think he had a heart. He always had that heart. And, it doesn't mean that we'll all overcome everything all the time. Of course not. Of course not. But we have a better chance of doing that if we work with all of that internal power. And so I speak to that in terms of this book.
I just love that, because Whimsy, you were the one who taught me that the heart and the brain are independent of each other. That's why I was smiling when you said that.
The heart wants what it wants, regardless of what you think. And you can try and think the way that person, he's no good for me. She's no good for me. Yeah, good luck. Your heart knows what it wants, and your heart is making decisions based on your heart's own wisdom. And if we fight our own heart, it can make us sick, and we can die of a broken heart.
Oh, absolutely.
Literally.
Yeah.
I've witnessed it.
Yeah. Oh, you've witnessed it. Wow.
Well, I mean, I've known people to be very, very depressed, despondent, give up on life, and say broken heart, and literally die.
Died prematurely.
I've had several friends.
Carrie Fisher and her mother
absolutely
had that heart bond. They were soul sisters.
Oh, very much so.
Many lifetimes together, probably.
Yeah.
So I had a couple questions about this. So as I was reading, and I noticed, I started thinking of all the ways in which unintentionally, and you talk a little bit about that, like parents aren't necessarily always out to get their children, but we get really screwed up.
Well, because so much gets suppressed in an effort to have us fit in societally, to sit up straight, pay attention, don't go off and imagining, listen to your teacher, you'll get good grades, you'll get a good job, and you'll start a life, right? That's the formula, and that's all it takes. No, it actually takes a little bit more, as we all know. And yes, they don't really mean to, but because they try to get us onto that path, often we lose. It gets dulled down, it gets sidetracked, it gets diminished. That kind of internal awareness. I mean, we all know this. Kids know so much. It's amazing what they pick up about their parents, they pick up about the world around them. There have been many books even written on the kinds of observations children can make, but they let that go because they get into the rational track, which there's nothing wrong with the rational track. We all need to work rationally. That's what creates structure. You know, you wouldn't be able to have communities if you didn't have certain rational building blocks for them. But on the other hand, the bigger brother to the rational thinking is this intuitive capability. That's where all imagination happens, all invention happens.
Can you
Great.
talk a little bit about that? Because that was the thing that struck me right away in the book is this, we get programmed, and we get programmed not necessarily because teachers and parents and elders want to hurt us, because they
Right.
want us to survive. We
Yes.
need to
Mhm.
we need to learn this stuff in order to survive. But in the process of doing that, we lose something and we disconnect from our internal self. And Carl Jung talked about the
Yes.
civilized Swiss man, you know, who was going to be civilized. He was not, and he talked about how he grew up on a farm and he saw animals just being animals. And so that helped him a lot because he was able to connect with nature in ways that maybe somebody who grows up in the city wouldn't have that. And that our dreams, our subconscious, is a way of that disconnected part of us,
Yes.
conscious, coming to the
It
surface.
needs to be brought forward. Yes. I'm going to give you a very quick example. It's in the book, but this is an example of using the approach that I talk about, and someone who clearly had the freedom within himself to do this. This is a real event. I will truncate it because we only have so much time. It happened in Washington, D.C. It was all over the news, but most stories wouldn't allow the person who's the hero to be able to explain why he did this and how he did this. But one of the broadcasters, and I happened to hear it, and it was honey over my heart, because they actually said, well, what was going through your mind? And then they let him answer the question, not just cut him off and go back into something else. So this is what happened. People were standing on a train station, Washington, D.C., out and toward the Maryland direction. So it was out of the city. A gentleman fell down on the tracks. The train was coming. They were coming in very fast. I was living in Washington at that time. Like now I travel a lot. I'm there part of the time and I'm not there all the time as I used to be. But I was there for this story. Anyway, the train was coming in very, very rapidly. This man fell down on the tracks. They could see the train coming in. Everybody was hysterical. One man went through exactly the process and had the freedom to do so. His first thought was completely irrational. He thought, I can save this man. Now, that's not irrational. We just don't know how that might be. Maybe he can save this man. He just knew he could save the man. He trusted that. His next thought was very rational. He said, there's an undercarriage to the train, and there are stones, rocks that this guy is lying diagonally on. And that's the analysis, the rational analysis. His third step was his creative thinking. He said, I'm small, he's small. If I straighten him out, lie down, the train will run over both of us. And that's exactly what he did. He jumped down. Everybody was hysterical. They thought 2 people are going to get killed. The train conductor thought, oh my God, I'm killing 2 people, because the train had to ride over both of them and out past the station, assuming there were 2 dead bodies. No, he stood up. Everybody helped the other guy get up, who passed out. It might have been low blood sugar. Who knows? I don't think we even know. And they were both fine. Now, I don't tell this story in the book because I expect people to do something like that. But I'm just showing an illustration of how fast this can work in the mind. He just knew he could do it. And then he thought, oh, wow, this could be the answer. And then if I do this and do that, it'll work. And he went with it. Now, we don't usually do that. We talk ourselves out of things often when we do have a solution. I mean, nothing this dramatic, but sometimes a solution comes into our mind, but it's not convenient, or it doesn't seem this, or it doesn't seem that. We don't do it. Later on, when we come back to it, we realize, yeah, should have listened to that creative thought that came in, that intuition that showed up. That, see, our brains, aside of metaphysics or spiritual beliefs or things like that, our brains inherently have tremendous capability. Science is talking about junk DNA. I love that. How can they call it junk if they don't know what it is? They don't know what it is, and they're calling it junk DNA, or at least some scientists. I'm not saying all of science has drawn this conclusion, but I've heard this expression.
Well, it's viruses. We know that we've been exposed to viruses, and it's sitting there, and it's not necessarily activated DNA.
Right. But I'm talking about the idea, and that might be a specific in terms of some of what we're talking about in terms of this DNA. But very often we dismiss what we don't yet know. I mean, lobotomies were a great idea once upon a time. Not so much today, right? We've gotten past that in terms of our science. So there's a lot that science doesn't know yet. So I use that example only because they're calling it junk. And yes, that may refer to specific viruses, but there's other stuff in our DNA they don't have an answer for yet. They don't really know what that that can do. Maybe we can move things with our mind. Maybe I can reach out with my hand and make things happen. We don't believe we can. And that's another part of it. It's believing. This man believed he could do this. That was his first thing. And then he came up with the solutions and thought, oh, this will work. Boom. He saves the man's life. And this was all in seconds. So again, in our life, if we stop, reflect, respond, really look at something. That's one thing I talk about. Stop, reflect, respond. Don't just react. It looked like he was reacting, but he was not. He went through a whole process in there before he made his decision, which is, he could have said, no, that won't work. And maybe that would have been the healthier thing to do, is like, back off. This is too risky. But he just knew it was going to work. So you see, and I'm not suggesting people jump off buildings, convincing themselves they can fly or something. There are little ways that we can teach ourselves this. We practice in different little ways. And so I think that's the best way to build that self-trust. Do it in smaller circumstances. Give it a whirl. See if what came to mind worked. See how that applied. See if you can rely on that. And I have many stories about this. We don't have the time for that.
I wish
many
we
stories.
did.
I have loads of stories on this.
When you talk about that, I always believe there is an entire universe in every cell of our body, within our DNA. There's so much we're never going to discover about the galaxy, the universe. It's the same thing with our body, what goes on. One of my questions for you, you obviously have a fascinating background in law, organizational management, and strategy. And your book emphasizes integrating intuitive, rational, and creative thinking using emotional intelligence.
Right.
How did you develop this framework through your own experiences in law and organizational management?
Interestingly enough, and this is part of what I hinted at when I talked about my background, because your life sometimes takes you in such amazing twists and turns. This is my 5th career now. I started out as a unit manager in a broadcasting company in New York when I was a child. One of the most responsible jobs I will ever hold was what I did for network news at that particular broadcasting institution. But with all the twists and turns, one door closed, another one opened. This ended. I took the opportunity. to learn something new, take another step, rather than just sort of sit there and go, well, what am I going to do now? When for example, a corporation gets sold, and then, I wasn't laid off, but I knew that I might be, because and I just took a lot of different steps. I worked with many powerful people. And when I say powerful, with and for many powerful people, some of them officially powerful because of their title and the role that they played, and some of them subjectively powerful. In both instances, they were subjectively powerful. It's just that some people were in minor roles and others were running the show. And I could see what worked, what didn't, how it worked, how it didn't. I worked for federal bankruptcy court for 5 years in California and in Los Angeles. For 5 years. So I watched businesses fail left and right, how they did or did not rebuild themselves. I saw the papers, I saw the pleadings, I saw the evidentiary background. I'm still a federal practice counsel out of Washington. I still take on contract work here and there because I like doing that, because I can pick and choose what I work on, when I work on it, how much I do. And I like keeping my hand in it. All of it has been a tremendous education. And there's been more. I worked for a homeless health and human services organization while going to law school on Skid Row. I saw how people pick themselves up or didn't, and what it took. Because I always thought when I was, of course, a kid, you just put some money into it. You help them, you do a donation, because we're always giving donations for this or that to help. And you think that can solve it. Then you start to see what these people are up against, what kind of psychological uphill battle they've got, where they've come from in terms of feeling diminished, trampled on, hopeless, helpless, and yet there are those who overcome that as well. M. Scott Peck said that. It never surprised him, people who had horrible histories, tragic abuse, war, whatnot. And as a consequence, were very, very damaged, as people were, of course. But what really, really shocked him is the people who came out of it, whatever it was, and were very grounded, centered, and not as damaged as others. And what resources were they drawing upon? I mean, certainly they went through horrors. They have that in their history, but they were able to work through and beyond and create a healthy life for themselves.
That's fascinating.
Wow. What do you hope that people are going to get from this book? Why did you want to write this book? What do you want your readers to get, the takeaway?
And it's funny because different people tell me different things. One reviewer who loved the book said, I never even thought about how I make decisions. And I'm like, bingo,
Mm.
already. I've succeeded with this person, right? What I was hoping to do is like rough up the soil around the plant to get people to the awareness stage, because that's where it all begins. You have to step into awareness. Even when I talk about, reflection rather than just, response rather than, just reaction. Well, that's great. But there has to be the awareness. Where does the awareness come from? Starts with our five senses, really being able to not just look, but see, not just listen, but hear. All of this is a great beginning, and it can take us into all sorts of other directions that we may want to go to. But at the very beginning, this is what has also gotten dulled down because we're so used to everything coming at us. People just throwing all this at us. People can't determine, they can't discern anymore. What's a fact? We see this, and it's talked about constantly with what's going on in the world. We get so much sort of propaganda, and somebody repeats something 3 times, it became a fact. No, that didn't just become a fact. And how can you discern all of this if you're not coming from a place to begin with, where you have some kind of baseline sense of awareness on how you're taking information and how that works for you and what the results are? What is the self-trust that can ultimately build this kind of power and resilience?
Wow. Well, you talk about staying authentic under pressure in your book. What are some practical ways to do that when everything around you is pushing you to compromise?
Again, stop, reflect, respond. This is another thing. We often feel pushed into some kind of response or some kind of immediate acceptance of something. Okay, they told us this. All right, we're going with this. Now, there are times when you need to react. I mean, I remember I have a couple stories in the book on the idea of reaction. Yes, if you've got an oncoming train or a car that's going to hit you from behind, you have to do some kind of reaction. But bear in mind, when reactions are engaged, whether by companies or countries, don't you always hear a correction was needed afterwards? It's like they had to react, and maybe they had to react, but then there has to be the correction. So what this really teaches us is that something considered is necessary in this process of decision making. And see, all too often, and I do this when I consult on the basis of, for example, negotiation and communication, reading the room, understanding who you're dealing with, reading what is coming at you, being able to make some determinations about that, some evaluation about that, and then determining what you want to do about it, how you want to engage it, how you want to move the ball forward in the interaction. So, these kinds of considerations, they grow and develop. The more you play with it, the more you work with it. And you don't have to run around saying, I'm using my subjective awareness, everybody watch out. No, this is, like in meetings or whatever, I would sometimes take a breath. Know that, ask somebody to restate something to create greater clarity. I mean, if I needed to step away for a recess, I would try and arrange that if it's something that needed greater consideration. It's true that in some instances you need to make those decisions fairly quickly and and move things along. But often we have more room for consideration, and we sell ourselves and the situation short if we don't do go a little deeper with it for ourselves.
Wow. I would love to hear, if you could, maybe read a section of the book. And for those people who, we do have a book club, so I know many of the people watching right now do have copies. Can you tell them which page we're on so that they can follow along with you?
Well, first of all, I just want to quickly, because the book has so many different, it's essays and commentaries. So it's not even like it'll be anything that I might talk about from within the book will just stand alone entirely. So I'm going to read the introduction. But what I want to point out to people, particularly for those who do not have the book, I'm just going to just kind of go down the table of contents on decision making. Know thyself and truly see thy choices. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? What do we understand? What do we see about ourselves from ourselves, right? The world of polarity we live in, a brief look in at its values, at at values we consider core. Facts, opinions, and beliefs. The devil made me do it. The emperor's new clothes. Chicken Little and the dilemma of the falling sky. Learning to ride a bike. All of these are representative of questions that are asked, because I ask a lot of questions. What I'm going to do quickly is just read a little bit, because I know we have our limitation on time. I'm going to read a little bit of the introduction, because that sort of sets the tone for moving forward. First, before I read that introduction, on page, 23 XXIII, it says first light. First light is about awareness, about vision and revisioning. Often we live half asleep until a small shift enables us to awaken and look at things with different eyes, whether it is merely an idea, the start of a project, or a major paradigm shift. First light is the spark that enables change. This is by Cilla Conway. She's a British author. She's also a metaphysician, from the Divas of Creation. I just liked that very much. I thought it spoke very well to what I was trying to engage here. So I'm looking now at XXVII, right? The introduction. Will I ever be normal again? That was the question. The first light had occurred. It had happened. Some years ago, a gentleman was referred to me for consultation. And I have this glare. I'm going to try and put these glasses on. I don't wear glasses, but these are blue lights. Let me just put these on for a second so I can read this properly. All right. It was unclear what kind of strategy this man was looking to develop or why he was referred to me. He seemed vague and perhaps a bit confused. I should say that some of the work I was engaged in at the time was decision strategy innovation, an approach to professional and personal problem solving which incorporates multiple functions of conscious resources. Simply put, it involves the intuitive/inspired, rational, and creative forms of thinking being utilized in concert, incorporating subjectivity and emotional intelligence. I never had the opportunity to meet the man who asked this question in person. He'd been referred to me, and we spoke for about a half an hour on the phone. Most of the time was spent unfolding his dilemma. This man, who I will call Tim, explained that he was a high-level executive who had recently attended a seminar as part of his company's group workshop weekend participation in Arizona, and that it had changed his life. He understood that the breakout group seminar of his workshops were intended to be about management and how to improve and develop relations with your company's workforce as a team. At least that was what he and his team participants were led to believe. It appeared that he either owned the company participating in this weekend seminar or was highly placed in the company's management. Tim had paid a good deal of money for his management group to attend this event in order to learn more about team building through an established management platform. He was affronted that the schedule included a talk by a Qigong master. What was a Qigong master doing in the middle of a management training weekend? But since he had paid his money, he wasn't going to skip out. The impression Tim created was that of a hardcore realist. What you see is what you get type of person. Anything that smacked of the irrational, that is, any concept born of a creative or otherwise unexplainably inspired thought process, was not only unreliable, but downright flaky and annoying. While we didn't speak long enough for me to learn exactly what had occurred during the Qigong master's talk, which had influenced him so profoundly, it was clear that some kind of epiphany had occurred. A very dramatic light turned on. But rather than be happy or inspired by the possibilities of this new awareness, Tim sounded entirely distressed. He said the experience had so changed him that he could no longer look at anything the same way, not his work, not even his wife and family. He wanted to know if I thought he would ever be normal again. Interesting question. What was normal supposed to be? The movie The Matrix came to mind. Tim seems to have been abruptly unplugged from the box matrix thinking system, the construct which had provided him with comfort and structure. Being an attorney, decision strategist, and student of speculative thought, I was not, however, a psychologist. I wasn't in a position to comment on his question from any psychological standpoint. But if he meant could he unknow what he had learned in the seminar, that didn't seem very likely. Tim told me that upon returning to his work and his family, he couldn't really see either in the same light as before the events of the conference. He seemed to now have a discomfort in his immediate personal family and associates. Who were these people around him? For the first time, seemingly in his life, he was taking a critical look at his life choices and the way people around him engaged his life. It was like the veil had been lifted and there was no going back, but also no idea how to go forward. His work and even his family seemed encased in a context of superficiality, as he explained it, so that he really wasn't sure what to do about them. I empathized with the fog of his distress, but also understood that this was only the beginning of what could be an interesting journey for Tim. Encouraging him to seek personal counseling, I also recommended some reading and resources that bridged different lines and ways of thinking. I'll stop there because otherwise, we'll take up too much time. And so, and it goes into the whole, a lot of the thoughts and ideas that came from this exchange with this man. And unfortunately, I never got to see him again. This was a phone call that I had. It was a phone consultation. Someone had referred me to him, or him to me. And I was really amazed at this is like the road to Damascus, where someone is struck by lightning and now has a whole new vision of life, good, bad, or otherwise, a whole new vision of life. In this case, he was now suddenly open to possibility, but that all happened from within him. Somewhere he listened, he saw, right? He saw, he listened, he heard, and something spoke to him. And it was a realization that was extremely deep and powerful for him. I wish it had been a little bit easier than what he had gone through, because he really seemed stripped of the identity that he understood himself to have created. He was just completely stripped of that and had no idea what to do. But hopefully that's not what we're going through. But it's an example that brought to mind the power of actual awareness, actual conscious awareness, of realization, of really starting to see the world, not as someone has shown it to us, not as we've been taught strictly, not as we've been given a certain veneer for, but from within, and really become aware of what we're in the middle of.
Well, he had, it sounds to me, that story really struck me. And it seemed like he had become enlightened, like his cosmic egg had cracked open, whatever the man had shown him. And so everything he thought was real was now in question.
That's right. It was, he realized that's the illusion. There's a whole other reality. That's why this reminded me of the Matrix, because that's that whole idea that you're living in this whole illusion and you don't realize it's an illusion until, as you say, that crack occurs in that whole matrix. And you're now starting to see that there's he told me other things about how he felt like, his wife was so superficial, only his kids only wanted money from him. They didn't really care about it. He was treating his employees terribly, and he hadn't even realized he was doing that because he was just going, trying to make the buck, trying to build the business. And then he realized there was no humanity in it. This is some of what's not in the book, but that was part of my discussion with him. He realized he wasn't even being a human being with these people. And now suddenly all of this was making him not only see it all differently, but what do you do from here? And because he saw so much all at once, not just, usually most of us, it's little bit by bit. We start to see this, we start to see that, we start to be aware of this. This guy had just this rip away of the illusion. And so I would have loved to have followed up in some way with him, just if for no other reason, to learn how he coped with it. That's why I suggested support. I suggested books that involved, kind of thinking outside the box, people like Greg Braden, who, who has an involvement with science as well as metaphysics. I gave him a number of different books and authors and approaches that he might want to explore and see what works in sync with him. I gave him some ideas. I just don't know what he really did with all
Take
that.
your wife to a Qigong demonstration.
No, it just sounded like he had a construct. He literally lived in a construct, and a somewhat idealized construct. I don't even know if he was seeing the reality of the construct as it was. That's how detached he was from all of it. And I think that's why it was such a brutal fall from this illusion to the land on the ground, and become grounded and become aware.
So it's when he asked for the divorce, his wife's going to say he had a midlife crisis.
Yes, I'm sure people, but the way he was,
and in a way he did.
In a way,
he's going to go off on a mountain in Japan Japan somewhere, which is my favorite place to be. It's like I'm
Yeah.
working hard so I can get out of here and go live on a mountain in Japan. That's my fantasy.
Yeah, but this was not even something it was so funny because it's like he didn't know he needed. He didn't know it was out there. He didn't know that this whole
Mhm.
other world was possible. I wanted to know what the Qigong master said that he had, so that he drilled through to this man in such a way, because I could tell even the way he started the story, he was so resistant. And then when he got into talking about the empath, he suddenly became this real person, this sensitive person that who knows when he was last that sensitive person. Certainly before he built this business up, because he was so angry. We paid all this money. We went to these workshops. This was supposed to be about building teams and getting more money out of this and that. And this is how he was talking to me to begin with. And in describing what happened to him, he then became this person talking to me about the fact that his life had changed.
I just saw a 62-year-old man that had all kinds of health problems. So he decided to take Qigong.
Yes.
And now he is a Qigong master, and he was doing this demonstration, and he was walking up walls. But not only that, but he was walking on water, because he would propel himself and then across the water. And he was doing flips and all this crazy stuff and smashing things. It's like, what the heck happened to him? It sounds like that guy also had a break with reality. So whatever, the guy probably did a demonstration that
yes, I would not be surprised.
Wow.
Yeah. And in my book, the book has 4 different sections, and at the last section, I'm literally talking about how this applies to business, how sometimes you don't want to take the business. It's not just like, yes, go after it. No, sometimes you're buying yourself more problems, depending on what you're, going through in the formational phase of that interaction for the business. If you're seeing all these problems and all these obstructions, the person may end up, this business may be more trouble than it's worth. And you have to keep that awareness open, keep really endeavoring to see, and not just project and not just accept. And that's tough. It's all part of the process. And some of the stories are fun. I talk about how I went to take the bar and all the obstructions I had to go take the bar. I mean, it's a ridiculous sequence of stories. And then another time when, I was going to visit my mother for the holidays, I was taking a cat on a plane, and it took us 36 hours to get to, and I should have given up. But no, I didn't. So there are fun stories in there too. They're
Cat
not all
on a plane. Yeah, that's what keeps me trapped in America, because I had to transfer my entire
Me too.
business to Asia. I told Chuck, I'll buy you the ticket. Let's get the hell out of here. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you,
for being
Danoot.
here. It was absolutely amazing.
Oh,
Check out
incredible.
her work, How the Tin Man Found His Brain, by Danoot Debbney Shaw. Absolutely amazing job.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you could come.
We should have you come back.
It would be great
We
if you would
should.
come back again.
I'd love to.
There's too
And,
much to talk about in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And please stay where you are, everybody. We're going to be announcing, and you need to stay where you are. Don't go anywhere today. We would like to announce our book for the next month. And this one I'm very excited about as well. It's by Sylvia Sullivan. Sullivan. Can you all see that? Sylvia Sullivan. There's a bit of a glare. This is so exciting. Maybe next time around, a tale of love, karma, and reincarnation. And
Whoa.
you know what got me
this.
attracted to this? Was look at all the lifetimes she's had. She's in the Holy Land. She was in Greece. She was a Native American. She lived in France and Ireland. She goes into all of her lifetimes, but the soul remains the same. So that is our book of the month. We're going to be talking about reincarnation with Sylvia Sullivan. You will not want to miss that interview. That'll be next month. Absolutely amazing, Danoot. We gotta come up with a way to extend these. Unfortunately, I go back into seeing patients right after this.
We had to move one of our patients ahead.
Yeah, because we wanted to give you ample time. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Very much.
And thank you, all of you who were able to stay and join our Book of the Month Club. Be sure and check out our next reading. And Chuck, any announcements you have to make before we close today?
My gosh. Well, I have my own channel, Chuck's Captivating Chronicles. I do a live stream on Mondays, Chuck's Captivating Chat, where we talk about old Hollywood, primarily, or whatever else people want to talk about. And that's 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to reach me for an intuitive reading, or you want me to do artwork for you, where I also sense things from the subject, and I usually have a message, you can reach me. You see my name, Chuck Dransfield. It's just dransfieldchuck@gmail.com.
Awesome. And to connect with me, if you need to see me as your naturopathic doctor, your green witch and reader, you can find me on Booksy, Dr. Whimsy Anderson at Booksy. All right, we're out of here. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. We'll see you next time. Join us Thursday.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
See you Thursday. Bye-bye.
Where you're at, Danoot.